Hey, it's Earth. Here are the results of my survey that I sent out to people. Do people care about the environment? They really do, actually. However, we should keep in mind that these results are definitely skewed. They're definitely biased because the people that I was able to get it to and the people that it generally reached were generally left-leaning and or college educated, so keep that in mind. I wanted to take age range into consideration because we are talking about environmental generational ethics, and so I figured that this would be an important factor. Unfortunately, though, the people that were able to access this survey did skew younger, but we did get a few older participants, although the majority of participants were between the ages of 17 and 22, generally. But we did get some older participants, one 55-year-old, one 56-year-old, a 28-year-old, and I think a 30-something. So we got a little bit of an age range, and we got 95 responses overall, so that's cool. And then I also asked gender identity, because that plays an important role in how you were cultured, how you were raised, what kind of ideas you might have about personal responsibility and the idea of taking up space. 56.8% female, so largely female, 31.6% male, 9.5% non-binary / gender non-conforming, and then the rest was prefer not to say. Would you consider yourself an ethical citizen? And especially because ethical citizenship is not something that is necessarily well-known. It is not a well-known topic. A lot of people don't necessarily know how to answer this question. 73.7% of people said yes, they do consider themselves an ethical citizen. And 21.1% of people said unsure, because again, this is not something that is very widely taught. Some people said I try to be, some people said depending on the situation, and I believe one person said no. I asked, how often do you consider your ecological footprint in your everyday life? So things like recycling regularly, considering your water / electricity use, eco-friendly alternatives, etc. Things got more divided here. About 25.3% of people said every day they consider this. 38.9% of people, so the sort of majority, said some days. 25.3% of people said on occasion, and then a few people said no, but I would like to, and some people said never. Eco-friendly alternatives. Do you find that eco-friendly options are accessible? 62.1% of people said sometimes. You just have to consciously look for them. 29.5% of people said no, they are too expensive and or difficult to find. A smaller percentage of people said yes, they are affordable and easy to find. And then I believe one person said I can find and afford them, but I don't use them. And then one person said I buy eco-friendly when I can, when I am afforded the opportunity. This relates to the issue of eco-friendly products being a luxury in a lot of senses, because the average person cannot afford these usually very expensive products that are usually a different quality than they are used to. They cannot go out of their way to find these products and or to spend the money on these products. So it's something that is not very accessible to the everyday person, which is an issue that absolutely needs to be addressed if we need to push more initiatives like this. Generational responsibility. Do you consider how our environmental actions might impact future generations' quality of life? For example, water / air contamination, mass deforestation, global warming, etc. 61.1% of people said yes, I think about this often. 27.4% of people said sometimes, but it makes me too sad. Some people said no, I hadn't considered this. I believe one person said no, I don't care, and then a few people wrote in their own. One person said yes, I think about this often, and this just triggered my anger about AI usage. PMO. Do you think that climate change initiatives will make any real difference? For example, renewable energy, safe and clean public transport, coral reef restoration, etc. 66.3% of people, the large majority, said yes. 24.2% of people said maybe, about one person said no, and then there were a lot of responses on this one. So, I'm dying. You guys have been killing me for a long time, and your kids are gonna suffer for it. I could get better though, if you guys just try or care. Environmental education for children and adults is very, very important, especially as it is often a generational issue. We need to make sure that people of older generations are aware of how much this is really impacting the wellness of their lives. Consider vulnerable populations. Homeless populations, people living in third world countries, they are being affected vastly more than people like us living how we currently are, and that is something that people often don't take into consideration because they have tunnel vision. They only see what is right in front of them, and they think, well, I'm doing well, so therefore everything is fine with the world. When in reality, it's not. We are not considering that other people in less fortunate situations are really, really struggling for our actions. Mindful consumption is also something that is very important. As I've mentioned before, a lot of people cannot afford these options. If the people with the means to are more mindful of what they are consuming, how much gas they're putting into their car, how much they are using their car, how much that car is putting carbon emissions into the environment, the products that we buy, how much we're using them, when we're using them, making sure that we're using them to the fullest, can really cut down on waste. The blame is not on the everyday person. The very least we can do is try. As the Earth, of course, these issues mean a lot to me, but also as a person painted as the Earth, these issues do mean a lot to me, and I feel that this project has really helped put those things into perspective and just discussions in class. We really do not consider how our actions impact future generations. We don't even consider how they impact people that are currently in the world right now, people that we live in the same moment as in other parts of the world. We do not consider how our actions affect them. We are not leaving the Earth as we found it. We're not leaving it better than we found it. In fact, we're leaving it so much worse that our children don't stand a fighting chance. Newer generations are opting not to have children or to have children later in life because people find it unethical to bring children into this world. And I, not Earth, but the person painted as Earth, am one of them. I have decided not to have children for many reasons, but one of them being that I don't think it's fair. I don't think that it's right, and I don't think that it's ethical to bring my children into this world. The roles of people and individuals as planetary citizens is deeply important for ethical decision-making to address these global challenges. In order to truly address these global issues, we need to consider the people behind it, the people suffering, the people struggling, and that all comes down to ethics. But the issue with ethics is that no one can agree what is and is not ethical, and it's been like that for centuries, eons, thousands of years. No one knows what is and is not morally correct. Even if we cannot agree on something, we should hopefully be able to agree that people should not be suffering and our children should not suffer because of our greed. We have each other. That is all that we have at the end of the day. The Earth exists as it is because of our actions and our community and what we have done to it. In community actions, we can also work to undo that. And through more community action, we can take charge. We can change the status quo. We can implement more ethical initiatives to make the world a better place for the future generations. Through community action, getting the word out there, educating people, both young and old, because everyone matters in this. We all have to come together in order for there to be any real change. We can change the ethical status quo. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm the Earth. Please stop killing me, guys.